Hey guys, welcome back to DT's Garage. As you see, I got the wheelhouse and the drop-off welded in place. I meant to get some footage of doing that, but you see, what I heard was camera on, turned out to be low battery, and it died as I started welding. So I have none of that footage. But yeah, so as you see, it's welded in. I'm going to show you the next step on here, and then I'm going to kind of, when I fast forward, I'll show you the welding process on the other side. But if you guys don't mind hitting the like button and then subscribing to the channel, that'd be great. It'd help me out a lot. But yeah, like I said, here we go. I got to fix this rot here that's in the structure I showed you guys earlier in the first video, and I got to replace this side piece that goes to the package tray. They finally came in. I punched the holes already. I got to prep them a little bit more. But yeah, anyway, I got to weld that up. I got to fix the structure here. Then I'm going to use this knotted wire wheel. I love this thing. Gets all the rust off of this stuff. It'll clean up pretty freaking good. Then I'm going to scuff it up real good with the other stuff, or the scuff pad. And once it's all scuffed up, I'm going to seam seal it. Now, seam sealer is very important because if you use the wrong kind, it'll accelerate the rust more than it'll actually help you at all. I've had people come in with cars that were done in the 90s. There's like body work up in the channel here, and it's all bubbled all along the edge, and it's because they stripped the roof and put some cheap seam sealer in there. The great stuff about this is it skins up in about 25 minutes, and you just can paint right over it. So once I put the seam sealer on, I'll let it sit up. I'll go to the other side, I'll pull the quarter off, and I'll get started welding on that side, and then in about 2 hours or so, I'll give it some time. About 2 hours, I'll paint this side, and then I'll put the quarter back on and move on from there. All right, guys. Now you can see that the corner to the package tray is in place and welded in. I repaired the structure. Everything's welded. It's good to go. Now I'm going to take my my knotted wire wheel here, and I'm going to clean up the structure, and then I'm going to scuff the rest of it. I'm going to seam seal the whole inside of the structure here. I'm going to paint it. I'm going to throw the quarter on for the last time, get it fit, happy, and then it's time to weld, and then it's on good for good. All right, guys, and there you have it. Everything's been welded on. The quarter's back on. We can start the next round of things to do on the other side. Basically the exact same thing we just did over here, welding the stuff back on, putting this side piece in on the package tray, getting that all done over there, and getting the whole other side back together before we weld the quarters on both sides. You want to make sure everything fits really good before you weld these quarter panels on. The reason why I'm doing that side first before I weld this quarter panel on is because sometimes in the trunk gap area you may need to slide the quarter panel in or out kind of thing. And if it's welded solid at that point, you're beat. So you definitely want to keep this not welded until you're 100% ready. I mean, you could weld up to the wheelhouses about here on the car and leave the rest. But I'm just going to leave it alone. I'm going to move to the other side and start doing stuff over there. Basically like I said, the exact same thing that's happened over here. Once all that's done, I'll pull the package tray out and the deck filler and the package tray out so I can punch and drill all those holes there, fit it for the final time, and then it's weld time for everything. So that'll be another episode, but like I said, I gotta move on to the other side, so that's where I'm going now. quarter back on over here. Got it all fit back up. It's not like, it's a rough fit, it's not the best fit, because the deck filler has to come back out as well as the package tray. They have to get prepped for welding. Once they go back in, I'll refit it and check all the gaps again, weld that all in and solid, and then at that point I'll start welding the quarters. Alright guys, so like I said, the deck filler and the package tray needed to be removed again so they could be prepped for welding. So that's what I'm doing here. The quarter panels were clamped and screwed in tight all the way around, so removing these center pieces really didn't affect anything at this point. In order to prep this for welding, it's just like everything else. You want to mark it out before removing it from the car. You don't want to just start punching and drilling random holes everywhere. So for the majority of it, I use my Astro Pneumatic 8mm hole punch tool. And then the rest of it, you just got to drill it out from an 1/8 inch hole to a 5/16 hole, and then you switch over to your die grinder with either flat disc or some kind of abrasive disc on there, and sand all the areas that need weld through primer down to bare metal, because that's what it requires. And then once you sand it all down and you hit everything with weld through primer, like you're about to see, then you just pretty much set it to the side, prep the other panel, and get ready to install it back in the car. Alright, so right here you see me point, and I'm about to mark it out on both sides of the car. It's a spot that I just overlooked when I was punching holes. Probably was marked out and I just missed it, whatever. It's basically where the center section of the package tray welds to the extensions. So I just used my spot weld cutter later on and drilled through the top layer and welded to it, and it was perfectly fine. But here, what I'm showing you is you got to refit the deck filler along with the package tray, make sure that everything's good, and close the trunk, and make sure you have good gaps before you start welding anything. And then once you do that, then you can remove the deck filler again and start welding the package tray in. Alright guys, I have it finally fit. It is ready for welding at this point. I'll show you some of the gaps here. Door jamb looks real good. Got the striker in, so that's all set. Trunk gaps look good. Nothing's welded yet either, so there's still a little bit of adjustment left. Still got to move things around, like this area I got to ream some holes and kind of shift things around. But anyway, as you can see, it is all fit. I already showed you some gaps. It looks really good. So at this point of the process, I would start welding everything, and this is going to be the next episode, is when I'll show you the final steps of welding and all the little tiny tricks to get it to fit perfectly. But as you can see, I've already showed you the gaps. It looks really good the way it sits. So I'm happy I can start welding from the door jamb up to the wheelhouse on both sides, and in the door or the rear window channel as well. But yeah, so like I said, this is going to be the next video. For now, that's a wrap on this video, part 2. It's all fit, underside's been welded, and now it's all ready to go for the final welding process. So, all right guys, if you haven't already, hit that like button, hit the subscribe, and stay tuned for the next episode. I will be back for part 3. Thanks for watching part 2, and stay tuned.